At 0940 hours, 500 feet above the Pacific, a U.S. Air Force C-17 Globemaster III locked onto its target, the USS Henry M. Jackson, a 560-foot nuclear submarine. From the air, it looked like a shadow line cutting across endless water. The mission was simple on paper and nearly impossible in practice. Deliver a 50-pound payload onto a moving submarine with zero margin for error. A miss meant wasted years of planning. A mistake meant striking America's own $2.1 billion asset. So what was so critical it demanded this dangerous mid-ocean drop? It was October 22, 2020. By 0530 hours, the first signs of an unusual event in the Pacific near Hawaii had already begun. The U.S. Navy, working under Strategic Command, conducted different experiments to test aerial resupply concepts for submarines, specifically the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarine, USS Henry M. Jackson. Among these experiments was a test where a drone delivered a small payload to the submerged or surfacing submarine. Other aircraft used in the test included heavy transport planes, helicopters, and tilt-rotor aircraft, all used to test different delivery methods. The Navy claimed that they were developing expeditionary logistics and improving the readiness of strategic forces. But it was a strange and mysterious scene where the C-17 Globemaster III carried a 50-pound payload over the USS Henry M. Jackson, bringing up a lot of questions. The logistics and process was complicated and strange, and many eyes were watching to see the secrets that were being delivered. The government used various aerial vehicles, most especially the heavy transport plane, C-17 Globemaster III. This was used after testing with other vehicles like drones, helicopters, and tilt-rotor aircraft. The payload was strangely small, up to 50 pounds. But when the Navy was asked what they were delivering, they refused to say. Some speculated that since the cargo was very small, it might have included items for intelligence or communication. It seems unlikely that they were large weapons or heavy equipment, although we can only keep guessing. Operations took place in the open sea, near Hawaii. During this operation, the submarine had to come to the surface, or at least near the surface, or in a position that allows recovery. But the problems were the weather, sea state, drift due to the currents, and maintaining precise position. As they carried out this operation, the Navy realized that very precise coordination was required among the sub, aerial vehicle, and some other support or surface vessels. Communication, navigation, aerial control, drop timing, and recovery all have to align closely. If the timing is just a little bit off, the package would have dropped into the deep ocean instead. The Navy has been very secretive in revealing all the details, only saying vague descriptions like testing tactics, techniques, and procedures, but nothing about what was being carried and the success of the drop. Submarines, especially what the military calls boomers, usually carry nuclear-armed missiles and are designed for stealth. These vessels always minimize signals, maintain radio silence, restrict communication, and stay away from the surface. The Navy is focused on creating the perfect resupply method that respects all the constraints without compromising the mission and detection. Why go through all this trouble? Why risk complex coordination, possible exposure, and potential errors, simply to drop supplies to a submarine at sea early in the morning? There are a lot of questions about why this sudden airdrop happened, but the military claimed that nothing fishy was going on. It was just a test, they said. The U.S. military is constantly testing new ways to reduce the lag time and vulnerabilities in supply chains, and they revealed that this was another way to test it. Submarines are one of the hardest things to supply, especially if they are operating far away from friendly ports. Modernizing logistics is the best way for the submarine to keep up with threats, and this can be done by testing aerial drones, drone resupplies, and other new delivery methods. The drop on the Henry M. Jackson is a part of testing logistics. The reason provided by the U.S. Navy is easy to believe, especially since being able to resupply at sea means a submarine can stay deployed longer, flex where it operates, and remain effective without having to coordinate port calls or large naval logistics operations. Strategic flexibility is very important in the military world where access to bases might be constrained, contested, or politically fraught. This will make U.S. submarine operations more resilient, Traditional resupply methods to submarines usually involve ships, port calls, escorts, or other support, but this can reveal locations, create vulnerabilities, and incur large costs. Airdrops from the Globemaster were expected to reduce dependencies, speed up operations, and lower the resource burden. What's more, if the submarine is exposed to threats like anti-ship missiles and surveillance, the Navy could use airborne or unmanned methods to reduce risk. But let's not forget the importance of accuracy. When the U.S. sub got a drop in the middle of the ocean, the most essential part was the precision, as everyone was worried whether the sealed box would end up in the ocean. A package delivered too far off target may be lost, may fail to float or be retrieved, or even worse, damage the submarine or reveal its position. The Navy's experiment involved testing the drop with heavy transport aircraft, like the Globemaster, which can airdrop into water, precise drones, and helicopter to see which method delivers reliably regardless of the sea state, wind, and any moving target. For a long time, submarines have had one of the most important roles in the U.S. nuclear deterrent triad. They're able to patrol, hidden, and ready to respond at any time. Any improvement in sustaining these patrols strengthens deterrence. So, if the subs need to come up for any minor logistical need, it completely ruins their stealth and readiness. As the U.S. submarine got a drop in the middle of the ocean, the Navy realized that they could achieve flexibility under emerging threats. As peer and near-peer competitors improve detection, anti-access and area denial capabilities, long-range sensors, and missiles, the U.S. is looking for ways to operate under pressure. But there are gaps, mysteries, and subtle tensions that add another dimension to this story. One of the most striking facts is that the Navy never publicly revealed what was delivered in the tests. The payload in the drone delivery to the Henry M. Jackson is described as unknown, and that's the strangest part of the mission. Why is this mysterious? Because what is being delivered affects how risky the operation is. A package of spare parts or medical supplies is low risk, but if it's tagged as unknown, that means there's something hidden. It seems like there's something even more sensitive in the box, like classified sensors, cryptographic equipment, and munitions. And if that's true, then the implications are even greater. Policy analysts and experts are raising their eyebrows at this submarine's operation. Any operation requiring aerial platforms near a submarine or communications to coordinate can risk revealing the submarine's location. Especially for submarines, stealth is central, and detection can completely compromise deterrent posture. Yet resupply operations bring more points of exposure, like aircraft flight paths, drop zones, tracking of packages, and recovery operations. The mission intensified the tension between maintaining stealth and achieving resupply. As the Navy delivered this unknown and strange object, the conditions at sea were harsh and unpredictable. Sea state, weather, wind, the motion of the submarine, aircraft performance at low altitude over water, timing precision, and coordination across vehicles must all align. This was the situation when the U.S. sub got a drop in the middle of the ocean. Any small miscalculation could cause the unknown target to land miles off target, get lost, or worse, cause more damage. The risks are high. And this was one of the first times that this method was used to deliver something in the middle of the ocean. But since the Navy refused to give more details about the airdrop, like what was being delivered and if this method will be used in the future, there has been a lot of speculation. Some observers are wondering whether the experiments were purely benign, or whether they carried deeper, strategic or intelligence-sensitive purposes. The fact that the tests were public but the payload remained a secret has caused a lot of rumors. After all, this won't be the first time the U.S. military has used secrecy as strategy. They might be keeping this a secret deliberately in order to hide something even bigger about the airdrop. It could serve a deterrence effect, or be useful in operational security. When you combine all the facts that we know with the unknowns of the airdrop mission, the story takes a surprising edge. In the middle of the ocean, remote, featureless, and vast, the Navy sent aircraft and drones to deliver something to a massive underwater vessel that's designed to hide. The operation demands a lot of precision, coordination, courage, and risk. But the problem is that the public is seeing only fragments and not a full disclosure. The gap between reality and public knowledge is where the mystery lives. For many, there's something dramatic. What is the payload? How often is this done? And could this new method increase vulnerabilities or simply increase readiness for the submarines? All of these are yet to be seen, and there are so many things that we still don't know. We have no idea exactly how often these resupply drops are done, or the regular method for sustaining submarines using these methods. Another secret is exactly what payloads are carried when secrecy is invoked. Are they critical parts, special sensors, or merely test objects? And there's the problem of whether the payload was used to carry munitions or classified hardware. Of course, we are also wondering how much risk the leadership is willing to accept in exchange for operational flexibility. After all, it's a conflict between stealth, supply, and exposure. But could this capability be used in scenarios of crisis or war? And what kind of secrets could they airdrop during times of conflict? Putting it all together, the U.S. submarine got a drop in open ocean, showing how serious the Navy is about enabling submarines to receive supplies even in the middle of the ocean. The reasons are strategic: maintaining deterrence, increasing readiness; logistical, innovating ways to support subs at sea; operational, reducing dependency, minimizing risk, increasing stealth; and emerging, threat-driven, being prepared for contested environments where ports are not available or safe. But the mysteries, like the secret payloads, ambiguous details, complexity, and risk, make this more than just another naval operation. They remind us that in strategic military affairs, what they tell us isn't always what it is. What do you think was in that payload? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on global military events.